Happy Wednesday. Thanks so much for joining me here. Tonight we are continuing with the Feel Good embroidery. That is our embroidery of the month this month. We're pretty far. We're good. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like much, but we got the big kind of sections done, or a few of the main sections, and now we're working on the type. So that's what we'll be doing tonight. So thanks for joining me here. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make cute embroidery kits for beginners. And I'm here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. So thanks again for joining me. Let's get working on this tonight. Okay, here we are. Okay, so I left off on this E last night. I'm going to get you guys down here so we can get a little bit closer. Oop, okay, so there we are. All right, so I am going to start on the rest of this tonight. So we left off on that E. Let's see how far we can get done on this text. So we'll be doing it for an hour here or so, and I think we'll get pretty far. So I gotta get a fresh piece of floss tonight. All right, so I'm getting about 24 inches or so, and let's grab our floss. So I'm separating the floss by first isolating that little piece, single piece, and then I'm just gonna go zoop, pull it all right out, run my hand through there just to smooth it out again, and then we'll grab two more pieces. I'm using 3 strands of floss, so that's the second. And let's grab a third here. Zoop. Needs a sound effect. Everyone gets the sound effect. Hi Irene, thanks for joining. Hello, Dark Lies, thanks for popping in here. All right, so I'm putting the 3 strands back together, and I'm just going to run my hand through that again. So I think this is just a really fast way of separating your floss. All right, so I'm going to thread this side using that pinch method again, where I put the thread in my finger like that and pinch, and I gradually unpinch, and the moment I can see it, I put the needle on top of there, and then I can pull the thread through right away. All right, so let's see, we stitched this here. I think I'm going to start where I left off here, come up and around, and then jump over here. I think this, Dark Lies, I think this piece will probably take about 4.5 hours. I like calling it like a 2-movie project. That's probably about how long. So now I'm just doing basically these outlines. So I'm going by what the pattern is. However, you could stitch it in a whole pile of ways. So you could stitch it where you fill in every shape. So kind of like how we filled in these. If you did other stitches and filled it in, or got more decorative with it or whatever, I could see it taking a lot longer. But this will take about 4.5 hours, I think. Hi Debbie, hey Christy, hi Pamela. All right, so we are just doing the back stitch around here, just like what we did last night. Ooh, got a little twisted up in there. So I haven't been using the thread conditioner. We could do that. So let's grab some of that. So I have some of this thread conditioner. This stuff is from Wisecraft, handmade. That's their website, and it's basically a beeswax with some oils and other stuff in. And if you run your floss through it, it kind of coats. Normally I would do this before stitching, but it kind of coats the floss. It makes it stronger, and it holds the threads together a little bit more, like they were kind of frayed. Oh, the one in the back, is that how it's going to turn out? Oh yes. So this is the cover of the kit, so it has the instructions here, but I do have the example one. So this is how it's going to end up when I'm done. So we're working on the text right now, and then all we have left is these running stitches, which are the dotted lines there. So that is the finished one. We'll just leave that guy up there. And then next week, this guy's just sitting here. Next week we're going to be stitching this feller, and this is a free pattern on our website. So that is what we'll be doing next week. It comes as a kit as well. Where'd my needle go? There we are. All right, so I went through the thread conditioner. That'll help keep it together. It was kind of, all those strands were kind of being a little loose. So doing that pinch method here again. There we go. Okay. So back stitch again here. So where I go like a stitch, come up like a stitch along, like a stitch length away. Oh, I'm getting like more knots in here. All right, so this is a super common embroidery knot, or like a knot that happens on the back of your embroidery. I'm sure if you've embroidered before, you have come into like one of these kind of loopy-doopy knots. Usually, not all the time, but usually if you stick your needle in that loop and kind of pull up on it, like if you pull on one of these strings, yeah, one side is going to tighten it and one side is going to bring that loop up to your needle. So this one is bringing the loop up to the needle. And once I bring it all the way up, usually I can just take the needle out and it pops right out. So that's the most, at least as far as I can tell, the most kind of common, super stupid, horrible knot that you get on the back of your embroidery. But yeah, if you ever come upon those knots, let me know if you've ever had that knot before. Otherwise, I'm alone here with those stupid loopy knots. But yeah, I found if you just stick the needle in there and kind of test one strand or the other of floss, one end or the other, it'll pull up to the needle and pop right out. The thread is just twisting around itself as you're pulling it through. That's kind of what causes that. Sometimes things just get twistier than other times for some reason. All right, so we're almost around this E. We're just going to jump over to that L. Blobby, kind of a blobby L here. So I hope everyone had a lovely Wednesday. I almost said it was Thursday today. I had to catch myself because we're not that far in the week quite yet. Do you even put these patterns on shirts or other things? I sometimes do. So we have a few that we turn into t-shirts and stuff. We're gonna do more of that. You can stitch right onto a t-shirt as well. There's some stabilizers that help with that. Like a stick and stitch is a stabilizer that you can print right onto, so you can print your design to it, and then you stick it like a sticker to your t-shirt, and then you can stitch through it and it comes off with water when you're done. I find that super helpful to stitch onto t-shirts. It's definitely easier on a woven fabric like this. A t-shirt is like a stretchy knit type material. But yeah, I want to do more of that though, for sure. More cute shirts with some of this stuff on. We're getting there. Oh, Gretchen says, I do. She put, so we have a swan pattern. She says, I put the swan on, oh, I missed it. Put the swan on the Grand Girls sweatshirt and it turned out great. Oh, that's great to hear. Oh my gosh. So I have a sweatshirt like in waiting that I want to stitch those roller skates on, that roller skate pattern. I'd love to do that. So I'll definitely have to go live when I do that. Do I do other things such as painting or drawing? Yes, for sure. I actually would love to do, so all of these are my designs. So I draw these, and I've done some painting, and I super want to get back into it. I just haven't put the time up, time to do that. Right now I'm just kind of putzing on the iPad a little bit more than usual, but just to get more in the artsy thing. But I do love painting. Oh God, I want to do more of that for sure. But yeah. Oh, hi. A. Haynes, hello first timer. Oh, you do black work. Oh, that's beautiful. So black work is where, and tell me if I'm wrong on this. So my impression of black work is it's just basically you stitch an entire design with black floss, and it looks freaking stunning, like all one color. And then there's like special like extra stitches or and stuff too. Like you can get like some nice patterns and stuff too, I think. Love all that like single color looking work. It's so beautiful. But yeah, anything crafts, anything art, I want to do it all. I love all of it. I love learning, I guess is the biggest thing. So if I see something that's like beautiful or like some technique that's interesting or some new medium, I like want in bad. And I don't get to do it all the time, but I love all of it. I want to draw more, and we're doing more patterns here, and that allows me to draw some more. Oh, really? So okay, so yes, so the black work is a yes to all black, and then some special stitches, and all one strand of thread. Dang. I've done the one strand of thread a couple times, and that takes a while to get some coverage, that's for sure. Oh, how beautiful though, just a simple like single strand with just black. Ugh, that sounds pretty. Is there a trick to keeping my stick and stitch stuck? It's been super humid and rainy. Yeah, so humidity is not a friend of the stick and stitch, especially, well, so sometimes if the stick and stitch, we're talking about that embroidery stabilizer that you can print a design on and then stick it onto your piece. And then you can wash it away when you're done stitching. It's awesome. I love it, the stick and stitch. But yeah, if it gets too humid, first of all, your needle might get a little sticky, which is annoying, but you can just wipe that off and it's fine. But yeah, actually, if it's too dry, sometimes it won't stick as well. I don't have a problem most of the time with it, but every once in a while, yeah, it'll be less sticky. All I do is stitch baste it down. So I just take like a sewing thread and I just make a few like really large stitches. So like if this was my stick and stitch, I just like frame it with like a couple, like 3 or 4 really big stitches all the way around, just for that extra hold. And then you can just snip those out later. They don't have to be small stitches. They can just be big, grab it in a few areas stitches. That would probably do the job, but yes, it's definitely more annoying when it doesn't want to stitch. Oh no, Aline. Hope you feel better soon. That's not fun. Yeah, the humidity can be tricky because you don't want to get the stick and stitch wet until you're ready to take it out. Ooh, we're gonna use up this floss really quick. This L is so blobby. So I'm going pretty quickly here. I mean, I am doing the stabbing method, which is a little slower way of stitching. I'll do the sewing method for the eye, maybe. So, like, if you do not stitch this fast, that's totally fine. I am actively trying to get this done in, like, 4 days, 4.5 days. So, and by days, I mean, like, 4 hours. I'm doing this an hour a night every day this week. Oh, it lays down okay, but it's pulling up. Oh, yeah. I would just stitch it down. Can you zoom in so I can see your stitches closer? Oh yeah. So here we go. I can make this a little lower for you guys. Let's get a little lower here. Oop, a little too far. Okay, I'm on. Let's see. There. Can you see the stitches there a little bit more? There. I think we can go. Let's scooch over a little bit. Just tweaking this a little bit. There. I got a couple of cameras going here, so I think there. Now we can see it in both spots. All right. Yeah, so I'm just doing the back stitch here. You know, I think I'm going to just jump right over here and start the eye. Normally I don't like crossing over spaces like this, but this is so close to the last, like, it's not just like a huge jump. I'm not like jumping from here to here where you can really see a lot of the line, so I think I'm okay with that. Now let's see, I wonder if this thread can get all the way around. Here, I'm going to try and scooch you guys over just a hair again. Okay, maybe not. All right, well, we'll try here. Okay. Oh, so this is better. You guys can see stitches better. Okay, good. I'm glad, I'm glad this is working. All right, so I'm going to do the sewing method for this. So you've seen me, I've been doing the stabbing. There's two like methods as far as what I know. The stabbing method is where you go straight down, pull it all the way through, and then come straight up at your next spot right away. You know, so you're always going down, like straight down. You can get really precise with that, which is great. And then straight up for the next spot. So the sewing method is a little bit different. So the sewing method, and I'm going to move around a whole lot more with the sewing method, but the sewing method, you go in and out in the same motion. So I'm going to go in at where my last, you know, where this stitch should be going next, going into that last stitch. And then I'm going to come up as if I'm starting the next stitch, all in the same motion. So I'm finishing the first stitch, coming up for the next stitch, all in the same motion. So I'm never like pulling my thread all the way back. It's just kind of scooching over right now. So that's the sewing method. So let's do that again. So in and out in the same motion and pull on through. So this is how a lot of people learn. I learned doing the stabbing method. I think that was more of like a self-taught thing. Oh, Chafifaro. Okay, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but for me, the sewing method is kind of hard. So I am totally with you. I didn't do the sewing method for like a decade after like learning it. And here's one trick. If you're having trouble with the sewing method going in and out, I've just learned this, but I find this super helpful. Make your fabric a little looser in the hoop. See, so I made it a little looser. Now, with the looseness, it's much easier to go in and back out and get into a good spot. Because I think the difficulty is when I'm coming sideways, it's less accurate than me going straight up and down. So it took me a while to build up to a little bit of accuracy. I'm still learning with the sewing method for sure. But one thing that I learned, just, yeah, that looser in the hoop made a really big difference with me. Oh, I love cross stitch. My mom and grandma taught me when I was little. It's relaxing. Oh, so cross stitch I love cross stitch too. We should do a cross stitch here at some point. It's been a long time since I've done a cross stitch, but that was my first kind of intro to crafting, I feel like a real craft. I remember my babysitter came over once when we were real little, and she had a cross stitch, and I was like hypnotized by it. That, you know, that there was nothing on the fabric, and then all of a sudden it's, you know, all these squares make a photo or like a picture. I just freaking love it. So I do like a good cross stitch. If you've done cross stitch and haven't done embroidery before, I encourage you to give it a try, just because it takes like a eighth of the time to get a embroidery done versus a cross stitch. Cross stitch takes so long. Here we go. But it's so fun. I love doing it. But yeah, it's just, I mean, embroidery can take a long time if you're filling in a bunch of spots and stuff too. But if you're just doing an outline like this, it's easier. I think it's kind of easier in the eyes too a little bit, because sometimes a cross stitch can get tough when you're following like all that grid stuff and all those little squares. But it's really relaxing. I would love to do that again sometime. All right, thread's getting a little loose there. I'm almost out of floss. I think we won thread chicken or floss chicken with this eye. I'm gonna just do the stabbing method to finish these stitches here. Sharon says the stabbing method seems to work best for me. Christy loves cross stitch too. That's awesome. It'd be fun to do a little cross stitch here. I'm gonna have to think about doing that. All right. Yeah, the stabbing method to me feels like I'm getting a little bit more accuracy than the sewing method. I suspect it's just because I've had more practice with it. So I am trying to actively practice the sewing method more. Not that that I need to do one over the other, you know, like there's a right way and a wrong way or something. But the sewing method is faster. It can get the job done faster, for sure. I'm just not as comfortable with the accuracy of it yet, for me. So my go-to is the stabbing method as well. But lately, if you see me doing a lot of the sewing method, it's because I'm actually trying to practice it. It's all a learning opportunity. So all right, I'm gonna just tighten it in the hoop again, because I'm gonna go back to the stabbing method for a little bit. And for the stabbing method, I like it a little more taut in the hoop. All right. Oh, and then we got that eye. I forgot that the little flower is the dot on the eye. That's cute. All right, so I have my second half of the thread. So we're using 3 strands of floss here again, and we already separated it into 3, and this is the second half. I'm going to use that thread conditioner again. So I'm going to just drag it through here. I'm just getting the front, and then we'll pull the rest through. Again, this is sort of holding the stitches together, or the strands together. And it smells amazing. So it's kind of like having a candle, like a yummy smelling candle while you work. So this is a thread conditioner from Wisecraft Handmade. She does really good work. So you can check her out sometime. Has your stitch ever fallen out when you weave in the back? I like that as a clean finish. So Bree, Nicole, mine has never done that, and it's gone through the wash. Like sometimes, this hasn't, but I have put embroideries through the wash before and stuff, and haven't had that problem. I actually think holds it a little bit better. Make sure you go back and forth 3 times. So if I go back and forth twice, and I can show you right now because we're doing that right now. If you go twice, so what we're talking about here is I like weaving in the ends instead of tying knots. So here's the back of my embroidery. You can see that there's no knots on it at all. How I do it instead. Oh, I'm making just a cute little embroidery kit here. It's our embroidery of the month. But, all right, so I'm going to weave in the ends. So I just try and grab as many backs of the stitches that I can. I think it's actually more secure than a knot, because a knot can get a little loose if it's washed. It can sometimes get tighter, but it can sometimes get a looser. Oh, thanks, Polar Peach. So I think this is a little bit more secure. So I'm going, that's just once, and obviously I can pull that out if I pull on it. And then twice, so I'm going backwards again. Oops, getting a little bulked up there. If I do it twice and I pull on it, chances I can still pull it out. Like if I start pulling on this, oh, this is pretty tight, but you might be able to see the thread moving, or it might start to pull out. I don't think 2 is enough. It's that third, like, so I'm going to go back again. Again, I'm still grabbing as many threads as I can along the way, and different threads than the last pass. That third one kind of locks it in, so that's almost like tying a knot, basically. But it's nice and flat on the edge. And if you have any like loose little threads popping up or anything, you can actually snip those close to the back. So you don't have a knot, so you don't catch anything. Like, I hate when you like have a knot over here and then you catch your floss on it, and then you've stitched a zillion more stitches, and then you realize that, ugh, I have this giant loop on the back. That happens when you have knots. Yeah, so I just really like weaving in the end like this. It just makes it nice and clean. Yeah, the other thing with knots is like when there's those little frayed edges, or the little ends of the knots, those can pull through to the front, and that's annoying too. But yep, so I like weaving in the ends like that. I'm going to make this a little shorter. I made these threads floss cuts a little longer than I'm used to. I usually go about 24 inches. I think I was a little longer here. Oops. Oh, thanks, Polar. It's surprisingly not as hard as it looks. We'll do the stabbing method again. I've been starting to like equate it to like coloring. So like if you can color, you can embroider. It's just kind of, you're just following the line. All I'm doing is following the line here. I think I am going to do the sewing method. And now we're going to stick to the stabbing. So you learn some tricks along the way, and it really is relaxing. And for sure, if you have any questions ever about embroidery, like if you give it a go and something's just not working or whatever, or you're getting a lot of knots or whatever, just, you can always ask here, or comment in one of the videos or whatever, and we will work it out. But yeah, I love it for a first craft for people too sometimes, just because it's, first of all, it's relatively cheap as far as crafts go, because certain crafts can get super expensive, right? It's relatively quick. Like, I call this a 2-movie project. It might take a little bit longer if you're just starting, but still totally manageable. It's not like you'll get started on a huge project and never finish it. So in that case, like, these simple kits are nice. But yeah, you just give one a go and learn one stitch and then learn another. It's super relaxing. Thank you. If I start embroidering, I'll definitely do that instead. Oh yeah, the knots are frustrating. I do have some tips on starting. I wove in the ends in the backs of stitches that were already there, but I do have some tips. Oops, for when you don't have any stitches to start without a knot. And I think I have some videos on that. We'll have to go over that. What are you making? It looks like a frisbee circle. It does. Right now, I have no real plans for this. It could go onto a bag or something. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I might just cut it out into a square and stitch it onto like a tote bag or something like that. Right now, this is just going to be like some wall art. Why it's circular like this, it's just in the embroidery hoop, which is just holding it tight, so it does totally look like a frisbee. Oh, needlepoint is super expensive. Oh, because the canvas is painted. Yeah, a lot of times in needlepoint, I think they're like hand painted, the canvases. Yeah, yep. Don't mind me asking. Oh, it is what is it? It's like 9 o'clock here. Yeah, it's 9. I'm Central Time. So I'll be here for the rest of the week. I'm working on this particular embroidery for an hour each evening at 8:30 p.m. Central Time for this week, and then next week I'll also be stitching another embroidery. We're going to be stitching this sampler, so we'll be learning all of the different, like, lots of different stitches. So 14 different stitches, and all 14 of those stitches are up here as well. So not only do you learn the stitches, but how to like apply them, like different ways that you could use them in a design. So we're going to be doing this next week, and it will be, it'll probably take a little bit more than a week. So you can take it out of the circle thing. Oh yeah, so why don't I show you guys? So we've just been kind of continuing this, but this is how it starts. So this is an embroidery hoop. This one's made out of bamboo, and it's 8 inches. And an embroidery hoop typically has an inner hoop and an outer hoop. So this is just a piece of fabric. Like, you could do this with a t-shirt if you wanted to. It's a little more difficult on a t-shirt, but you know, on a blanket, on whatever. And you can just stick the inner hoop underneath. Oh, the kits are over. So this is available as a kit. It's over on, if you click the link in my profile, it'll get you there. It's penguinandfish.com. But the link will get you right there in the profile. So I have the inner hoop underneath, and I just kind of center it. And then the outer hoop adjusts a little. I unscrew the screw a little bit there, so it's a little bit wider. And then you just pop it over the top. Oh, you want to gift someone these kits? Oh, they're super gifty. They're great for people just starting, or just, you know, even experienced crafters who just like the design and stuff too. So, all right, I'm tightening it then as well. And I'm just slightly tightening it, and then you can see it's kind of loose yet. So I just pull on the fabric a little bit, and that will get it more taut. You don't want to pull it, like, you don't want to like really distort it or anything. I'm just getting it back to like what it would be if it was just kind of laying down. There we go. So yep, it comes out of that hoop. This is it's basically a tool to make it a little easier to stitch. It holds everything flat while I stitch, and it gives me like something to hold too. So that's its use basically. And they come in all different sizes. They like, we have, our kits are mostly 8-inch kits, but now we're gonna have some smaller kits as well, some 4-inch. Oh, Polar Beach, I love this live, but sadly have to go to bed. Oh, well, we'll be here tomorrow too, so have some nice sleeps. Okay, so if I wanted to do embroidery on a shirt, would it still be okay to do the weaving, right? Yep, you can still do the weaving in method. I would actually recommend that on a t-shirt. I do have my jean jacket on tonight, Kimberly. This is my jean jacket that I'm hoping to embroider all over. Yes, so for a t-shirt, you can definitely do the weaving in the ends. And for a t-shirt, I would recommend practicing the sewing method. So the sewing method, again, let's do that. So the sewing method, first of all, I like it a little looser. For a t-shirt, it'll automatically be looser because it's stretchy. Yep, I'll be here, Polar Peach, every night, 8:30 p.m. Central this week, well, through Friday, and then Monday through Friday for sure next week as well. We'll be working on that other design. Okay, but for the sewing method, you go in and out in the same motion. So there we go, in and out in the same motion, and then pull through. And the reason that this is great if you're stitching a t-shirt using the sewing method, again, where you go in and out in the same motion, is then you're not dealing with being on the back of your embroidery at all. Like, okay, so if I do the stabbing method, I'm bringing it all the way down. I have to bring my hand back, pull the thread all the way through, and come back up. I like it for its accuracy, bipolar, but I don't like that you have to come all the way underneath, and that's going to get real annoying if you are stitching a t-shirt, right? Because you got to go like inside the t-shirt and pull it through, and you don't want to grab, another part of the t-shirt. Like, you don't want to accidentally stitch, the back into it by accident. So by doing the sewing method, you can stay basically on the top. It takes a little bit of practice, but it's gonna reduce your pain of stitching by 1,000%, not having like all the crazy loops on the back. Yeah, so then the only time you'll really have to be on the back is for the weaving in the end, like that. How did I get the outline? So we print them. So we have iron-on transfers made, and then so all of our kits have them pre-printed on it. Well, all of our new kits, our older kits come with an iron-on transfer in it. However, if you get like a digital pattern, like we have PDF patterns as well, you can print out the design and then outline it with, or just trace it, with a, just like with a water-soluble marker, or even just like a pencil totally does the job. Sometimes I'll just use a pencil. The other way that I absolutely love transferring a design if I don't have an iron-on like this is with stick and stitch. And I know we've talked about that a little bit tonight already, but here's that product. So it's by Sulky. It's called Stick and Stitch, and what you do is you print your design right to it, then you stick it on your fabric like a sticker, and then you stitch right through it, and then it comes off with water. So that's awesome because then you don't have to trace. You can just print it right to it and then get started. So I do love that. But yeah, so those are kind of my go-to ways, just tracing it like a pencil or that stick and stitch stabilizer. But this is an iron-on transfer. It's pre-printed onto the fabric. Which just makes it easy so you can get started right away, which I love. So I always, I'm stitching upside down right now. I always kind of just move to where it's most comfortable. Like, I like having my left hand back here, kind of feeling the stitches as I stitch them. Then I can feel like if I get any weird knots, I can actually move the thread out of the way before I do the next stitch. That helps me reduce getting knots. But it also means that my hand has to reach there. Like, if I had huge hands, it'd be better. But, since I can't reach all the way across the piece with my hand, that's why I'm kind of stitching upside down now, so I can reach that letter, the letter N here. Oh, yes, so I need to go in 5 minutes, I think, so not yet. Welcome back. But did you draw the design myself? Yep, this is my drawing. I drew the type too. It's not a font. I drew that as well. All right, yeah, this is easier to stitch upside down. We'll get right side up again when we get to that G. Yep, so everything on Penguin and Fish, that's my company. All of our embroidery kits are my drawings. Oops, come back here. All right, so that's our last stitch on the N. Oh, you like the cute bubble letters? Yeah, they're fun. They're definitely the style again. Does the stick and stitch go through the printer easily? It should, Kimberly. The stick and stitch can work with an inkjet or a laser. I've been using a laser primarily. I know a lot of people use an inkjet. I'm gonna start this G while I talk, but I'm actually I don't want to jump from here to there, so I'm actually going to just kind of weave in the bottom of some of these stitches. I'm gonna just kind of travel along the edge here. So I've tried it with a couple different printers. The stick and stitch there. See, now I don't have a big jump there. With the stick and stitch, and one kind of ate it completely, and I hate that printer. And the other works amazing. And I know I think my mom's stitched or done it on her inkjet before. So theoretically, it should go through it. It's the size of printer paper, and it's the size of printer paper, so it should go through easily. Oh, would it be okay if you showed us how to start a stitch without the weave? Yep, I can do that. I just tied myself in a knot here. So I'll show how to start. We can actually start here fresh. Well, yeah, I'll show you. Let me finish this thread. This will take me like 3 more minutes probably. And our next thread, our next floss, I will pretend that we don't have any stitches on here, and I'll show you how I start. I'll show you how I start that. I can show you actually 2 different ways. My 2 favorite ways, I suppose, of starting without a knot. How come one above looks identical to the one you're working on? It is identical. So this is actually my sample one that I stitched to make the pattern. So this is the front cover. It actually comes in a nice little box, but I pulled oh yeah, so here's like the box that it comes in with all the supplies. So I pulled this out of it. All the supplies come in here. The instructions are on the back. That's why I have it out here. So yep, it's exactly the same. It's my sample one, but the 3rd week of the month, it's my embroidery of the month. I do an embroidery each month, a new one, and the 3rd full week of the month, I stitch it live. So it's totally identical to that one. We're just doing it again. But yeah, then, so we introduced the kit at the beginning of the month, and then we stitch it the 3rd week, because that's enough time if people want to get the kit and want to stitch with me. So I stitched the whole thing live from beginning to end every month, and then, you know, people can stitch with and share their work and all that. So that's why there's 2. Oh, yeah, my nails, thanks, my nails definitely kind of match. I was looking at this pink. It's almost just like this pink. My nails are maybe a little bit lighter. But yeah, it gotta match the nails to the embroidery, right? All right, I'm almost out of thread here, and then I'll show you how to start a thread without a knot when you don't have other threads to weave it in. So my next piece will do that. I gotta cut a new piece too, it looks like. All right, we're almost there. Yep, I can only get maybe 3 more stitches out of this floss, maybe. Yeah, we'll get 1 more, and then I'll weave in this end. Bye! Thanks for joining again. All right, so weaving in that end. Again, I don't use knots just because I don't like things getting caught on them, mostly. All right. Let's snip that. Okay, so let's get a new floss here. Again, I like getting about 24 inches or so. Any more than that, and you're kind of being a little aggressive on the floss, like the floss will wear down as you pull it through the fabric. I mean, not really noticeably, but you'll get more knots to the end, like if you use a long piece of floss. So I like the 24 inches. That's about good. So I'm just tapping the end a little bit here. That's separating the 6 strands. So embroidery floss is typically made of six like loose strands, and they're meant to be pulled apart to get different size stitches. So the more strands, the fatter your stitch, and the less strands, the less or the skinnier your stitches will be. So I'm going to use 3 strands. So I'm going to pull 1, 2, 3. All right, and then I'm just placing them back together. Run my hand through it, and we're good to go. And let's just, because I like it, let's run it through the thread conditioner again. Oh, thank you, honey. Hey, Jennifer, thanks for popping in. All right. So this is, I'm going to just do a quick demo on how I start a piece of embroidery floss without having any knots on the back. So if you look at my back, I don't have any knots on here at all. I just weave in all the ends. But how do you weave in an end when there's no stitches on it yet? So you do it by using something called a waist knot, and there's several kinds of it, but this one is called an away knot. So how you're going to start is you are going to actually tie a knot at the end, which is what, I didn't want to do, but it's a temporary knot. We're not going to have it forever. So a knot on this end, and let's say I wanted to start on this letter G down here. So pretend I don't have any other stitching on here. I'm going to actually, so let's say I want to start stitching right here. I'm going to start the G right there. Actually, I kind of want to start the G. Let's start the G right here, because then when I get all the way around, I can jump to this next letter. Okay, so I want to start right here. So what I want to do first is go in from the front of the fabric, not the back, about 4 inches away from where I want to start and where I'm not going to cross over anywhere else that I'm going to stitch immediately. So I'm going to go like right here. So I know this is weird, but I'm going to go right here from the front. So I got my knot on the front, and then I'm going to come up where I want to start stitching. That's more like 3 inches. You want at least this much. You want probably a little bit more. But all right, so I came up where I want to start stitching, and I'm going to just start stitching. I'm going to pretend that this is not there at all, but let me show you the purpose of it. So you would go about doing your stitching like normal, but what you've done is reserved a piece of floss. So you've reserved a length of floss that you can weave in later. So like how I wove in the end here, you're just going to do the exact same thing. So when I'm done stitching, I'm going to snip the end here, and like I'll actually just like I'll actually cut off this knot from the front, and then I will weave in the end just like how I did over here. So that's how you start with. If you're using an odd, I'm going to show you another way, but if you use an odd amount of strands, so I'm using 3 strands, that's the way that I do it. It's called an away knot. So I would go about and stitch the rest and then weave it in. However, here's another method. I'm just going to use, I got this little piece here. Actually, here, I'm not using any brown anymore, so I'm gonna use this. So the second way I like starting, if I don't have any other stitches on the back, is the loop method. And to do that, I am actually going to, this only works if you're using an even amount of floss. So if I'm going to use, let's say I'm going to stitch with 2 strands instead of 3, which will make my stitches just a little thinner. What I'm going to do is take 1 piece of thread, and I would cut this twice as long as my normal length. So instead of like 24 inches, I'd go like 48 inches, but I'm just using a scrap. You'd actually fold that in half. So there, now I got my 2 strands. So I started with 1, but I went to 2 by folding it in half. Again, this is if I wanted to stitch with 2 strands. So then I'm gonna thread the end with the 2 ends. There we go. So we have this fold on this side, right, where we folded the thread. So now let's say I want to start on this letter G here. I'm just going to start stitching. And I'm not going to pull all the way through. And I'm going to go make my first stitch. There we go. But then I'm going to flip to the back and pull on it. And you see that loop happening here, right? Once it gets down to about there, I'm going to just stick my needle through that loop. And I can pull my thread tight, and that tightens the loop against my thread. It's like magic. Now I'm done. Now I can just start stitching. That's all there is to it. So that's like a beautiful, beautiful thing. This is my new favorite method of starting, is with that loop method. I mean, that's it. There's no knot. I don't have to weave anything in, and look how clean it is. It's like magic. So that's actually my new favorite way of starting, especially if I don't have any other stitches on. But it really only works with an even amount of thread, and because you have to fold it in half to get that loop. And then if I finish my thread and I cut it off, then I just have like these little strands left. So there's some drawbacks, but dang, that is so nice just to start with that tiny loop instead of a knot. All right, now I gotta get this out. But there, so those are my 2 kind of starting methods. If you're gonna stitch onto that t-shirt, I would go for this loop method. Actually, either the loop method or this weaving in method. All right, so I know we haven't finished that G up there yet, but let's, since I got this big thread down here now, from doing that away knot method, let's just keep stitching down here, and we'll get back to that other G later. So we have about 10 minutes or so, 7 or so minutes left for tonight. So I'm stitching this, if you're just popping in, I'm stitching this every night this week. So just, I guess, Thursday and Friday yet. So we'll finish it up in the next couple days. So I'm here at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. So I'm doing the sewing method again. That's in and out in the same motion, just because it's speedier. I'm wondering if I can make it through this entire thing of floss in the next 6 minutes. That would be like Speedy Gonzales stitching. Let's see if I can do that. Actually, it's awkward for my hand to hold it way over here, so we'll go back to the stabbing method. I'm just more comfortable with the stabbing method, where you pull it all the way through and then come back up. And we're doing the back stitch here, if you are wondering. And we've done the chain stitch 2 nights ago, and the satin stitch last night we did that. We just have the back stitch, which is all this text, and then all the little like sunbeam guys, those dashed lines, those are going to be a running stitch. Sharon says I still have to try the away knot, and the other method as well. It keeps everything nice and neat. I love that. Yes, I love both these methods for sure, the loop method and the away knot. I mean, it really, you know, and it's like, oh, not so easy, I'll just start with a knot, whatever, right? Which is totally fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. What it comes down, and I know I've said this before, but what it comes down to for me is that I always get my stinking thread caught on the knot. Like, so, like, if this knot's on the back, I'll, like, accidentally catch my whole thread on there, and then I'll be stitching and not know that I have a huge thing of floss stuck on the back. Or, like, with a knot, these little, like, phalanges coming out of it will come to the front, and they're annoying to get to the back. It's those sort of things, these, like micro annoyances, you know, that just go away when you stop using knots on the back, and dang, that's, you know, becomes a noticeable nice feeling not having those. But they're totally, I mean, they're fine all in all. Like, if you want to start with a knot, that's not wrong. Totally fine. But yeah, I do think the weaving in the ends is a bit more secure. Oh, thanks, Isabel. Yeah, we were talking about yesterday that, like, just like this little flower would be cute on a t-shirt or something. I'm gonna have to, I wanna stitch on more t-shirts. You know what? I just realized I have a couple white t-shirts that I'm kind of testing out, because I'm like, ugh, do I wear this anymore or whatever? Should it be pajamas or something? They would be the perfect thing to, like, decorate up with some embroidery and then actually, you know, wear again. So maybe I'll have to come on here and do some stitching on a t-shirt at some point. What is your favorite stitch and what is your least favorite stitch? I think my favorite stitch is the chain stitch. Just because I love, like, knitting, and I love crochet and everything too, and I learned how to crochet from my grandma, and I just love that. And so whenever I do the chain stitch, I just think of crochet, and I think of grandma, and that's just neat. It's just so cute too. It can kind of get a little bit annoying to stitch every once in a while, like if you have to do a lot of them, but I do love it. My least favorite, you know, I'm not a huge fan of the split stitch. That one can be tricky, I feel like, and I'm not, it's not the prettiest to me. So those two. We'll actually go through both of those next week. We're stitching our sampler embroidery. This is our free pattern, but we'll be stitching this next week. So the split stitch is right here. It is nice because it does look like a nice organic line. Like, it all kind of blends together. So I do actually like the look of it when you're done. But I just like the little chain stitch. It's so cute. But yeah, so I think, and I mean, I'm just talking like basic stitches. There's zillions of embroidery stitches, but I just kind of stick to a few basic ones. I think the long and short and maybe the satin stitch can maybe be the most challenging ones. But there's some stuff that we can play around, some tips for those too. Definitely use a stabilizer on the back if you do t-shirts. Okay, Gretchen, do you have a suggestion for stabilizers? So you don't think that, like, just the stick and stitch will be enough then, as enough of a stabilizer? I wonder if you could put stick and stitch on the back and the front, if that would do the job. Sewing method stitch there. All right, so I will probably go tonight till I'm done with this floss. Oh, actually, you know what? I'll finish this floss, and then we'll go back to our away knot. So remember, we are storing a segment of floss right there for later. So I will snip that, and we'll finish that up. So that's how you start, and then you kind of wait till you're done with the floss, and then you finish that up. Oh, it'll go from 8:30 to like 9:30 each day through Friday this week, and then next week, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 9:30 Central Time. So those are the times. So I should pop in like right around 8:30. But yeah, so we'll finish this up in the next 2 days. And yeah, then we'll work on that raccoon stitch sampler. That might actually take, oh, for you it's 10:30. Yeah, so yeah, I tried to, we used to go on at 9:30, but yeah, in the East Coast it was a lot later. So we switched it to 8:30. I mean, I've been doing this for a couple of years, so a couple of years ago, or like, yeah, at least a couple of years ago, I think we switched it to 8:30. So we're a little bit earlier than we used to be, but yeah, it gets late. I'm hoping to actually do some more on the weekends and stuff too, but for now, at least this week and next week, we'll be here for just at 8:30. All right, so I don't have that much left here, so I'm not going to bother jumping over to this next. Oh, I really could. I am going to bother. I hate wasting thread, so I'm going to jump over to the next piece here, and we're going to get like 4 stitches out of here. These little avocado-looking O's. Yeah, fine. We got 3 stitches out of this. Now I'm going to get 1 more. There, and I don't feel like I wasted that floss. All right, so I'm going to weave in that end. So this is how I end floss, is I just weave into the backs of stitches, and again, I do that 3 times. So it's that 3rd time that really kind of locks it in, I think. You can get away with 2, but especially if you're washing it and stuff, I'd go that 3rd. That's what locks it in there. You're not pulling that out. And what's nice is when you weave it in like that, you can snip it right, near the stitches there. So there's no extra phalanges hanging out here. All right, so back to the away knot that we did right at the beginning there. Oh, you're glad that you're not the only one that thought the O's look like avocados. Yep. All right, so that away knot that we did, we were pretending that we didn't have any other stitches to weave in the backs to start. So we started with this away knot. Oh, and I'm just going to snip that knot off, so that's garbage, that little baby knot. And now we've kind of released that extra piece of thread. So now, instead of having tied that into a knot, now I'm going to weave this end in as well. So you're wasting a few inches of thread right at the beginning, but I think that's a good payment for not having any knots on the back. All right, so this I'm going to weave in 3 times as well. I cut it, or I did a hair maybe too short. It's going to be tough to get that 3rd pass, but oh, just enough. Good. All right, I think we made pretty good progress here tonight. There's a lot of surface area in this text, a lot of going in and out and all this all over. So the text is taking a while. I mean, we already had 2 letters in when we started tonight, but yeah, the rest, it's coming along. So I think we'll still probably finish this Friday. I'm hoping we'll finish this text tomorrow pretty easily. Let's see, we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters today. So yeah, we'll for sure finish the rest of this tomorrow, and then we'll start working on the running stitches. That's what's, here's the example again, that's what's going all the way around the side here, all these little dashed lines. Those are the running stitches. A very easy and fun stitch. So we'll probably have more time left over on Friday because I don't think that's going to take forever on Friday. So I'll show you how I like finishing these embroideries too. If I'm going to keep it in the hoop, I'll show you how I like finishing it so you don't have all this edging and everything like that. So we'll do that on Friday as well, I think. All right, you guys, so I think that's that for the evening. Let me flip you around. There we go. All right, so again, I'll be working on this tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, and then next week will be the raccoon stitch along. So that's our free pattern again. So if you head over to Penguin and Fish, it'll be just like free stitch sampler will be in the menu. Or just go, yeah, that'll work. And the free stitch thing, and then it'll actually jump you to, when you sign up for it, it'll jump you to the checkout, and that's where you actually check out the free pattern. So you actually still have to go through the checkout process, but that way it will save into your account, so you can always go back and download it. That's why we do it that way. But yeah, so that's free. We do have the kits available as well, but you can just grab it right away. And have it ready for next week, and we'll be learning 14 stitches. You'll also get those emails of 1 stitch a day, but we'll be going through them live over next week, and it's probably going to go more than next week. I suspect this is going to be like a week and a half sort of thing. I think it took me like 8 hours to stitch this one. But yeah, so that'll be fun, learning 14 stitches, and the actual raccoon has 14. The top area has 14 stitches in as well. So we're actually going to use each one in the piece. I'm really excited for that. I think that'll be fun. So all right, have a fabulous evening, everyone, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a good evening. Good night.